Hey everyone, Paymarine here with another status report as it is the end of the month. It is the 31st. So we're going to go over kind of what's been going on and some future plans, things I'm excited about coming up for the page and the channel in general. So what's been going on? Just working on I got a decent little lineup of commissions right now, so that's always good to be staying a little bit busy on that end of things. Um, which is kind of unfortunate because it kind of makes me take a little step back from my own personal army and things. Um, but getting a little extra hobby cash flow is always good. I did take kind of a mild break to do a quick kit bash of the new Master Lazarus Dark Angels model, just to kind of change them up a little bit and make it something that, like, again, I can run with my Star Commanders. It's a fun thing I've been doing with these new character models that they've been releasing for the different chapters. Um, so it's been, I don't know, it's just been a fun little extra challenge to kind of de-chapterize them from their original chapter and put them in a way that I could somehow either just run them with my own. At this point, it's pretty much coming to, I have like a character that basically can be run like, or it can be like seen as a company, um, like a company captain or whatever for each company within my homebrew chapter. So that's kind of cool and kind of a thing I'm trying to figure out. So like I said, I've converted most of them. None of them have been painted yet. So I'm kind of trying to figure out like which HQ character would be for what company, and this idea of like each company, because their company commander has like a very unique looking personality, that it ties into like that role of that particular company in my homebrew chapter a bit. Um, so that's kind of my idea with that. But like I said, it's kind of nice to take like a little painting break for just a brief, I don't know, maybe I can't even say it was an hour build necessary. But maybe at most an hour to kit bash and build that model, um, to just get a little bit of a break from painting. But I am working on this Sakaran Punisher tank, and I'm loving the way it's turning out. Hopefully the client does. I got most of the shading and stuff kind of done last night. Um, so this is it right now. And if you notice, there's a definite shift in the colors as it moves it around, as the light kind of hits it. So what I did is I have the Green Stuff World color shift paints, um, and because this is an Alpha Legion, I wanted, and here's the bottom, kind of purple, blue, blue, purple, purple, green. So what I did here is, so Alpha Legion kind of has like that bluish, greenish, teal, purple kind of stuff going on. So I actually combined, or used it to do kind of a shade in a way, with these color shifts. Now, with these, you can't just run a wash over them to do your shading. I had to do and go in like each crevice and kind of do that. Because if you do like just an easy overall wash shade, you lose the color shift effect. The wash dulls down the effect or whatever, and so you don't get that same thing. So what I started with was their Cobalt Blue. And as you can see, this is a blue that shifts to kind of a purple or vice versa. I think its main color, though, like main is blue and shifts to a purple. And then I went with the Storm Surge Green. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I thought, well, again, it's more of an Alpha Legion kind of color, the blue to green shift. But like I said, in some of them, and especially I think more on the Chaos side, you see a little bit more purple brought into them. So I thought it'd be cool to kind of like use this shift to go from purple, blue, blue to the teal green color. And I think it worked quite well. So with this model in general, I used the purple blue and kind of did like a bottom kind of shade, and then I even on the turret as well. I don't know if you can see it as well on here. Let's see if you can. I kind of went around the bottom of it here first with the purple blue, and then use that and then kind of blend it up into the this blue green, the Storm Surge green, to add that in. So, um, but yeah, so I think it looks pretty cool so far. Like I said, I got the main shading done. There's really not a whole lot left to do on this other than I want to add some transfers on here. Um, After that, I'm going to do kind of a choice dry brush with some kind of silver to pick up some edges and give a little some kind of battle damage worn look. Uh, Need to do the lenses, get the lens colors in there for some pop, and then after that, the weapons bluing and the engine bluing, so like the heated metal look on the weapons. And then after that, I want to. There's gonna be. I haven't quite figured out. I don't think I have the color I want, but I want to get. They have like. I don't know if it's not pigment, but they have kind of like it's like a dry, kind of. I don't know. Not textured paint, but it's almost like a powder. Weathering powder is what it is. On the treads to kind of give that dirty appearance, like it's been rolling through. And with that, I'm gonna do kind of like a Martian Earth kind of color, because again, on something like this, I want something that contrasts these colors well. And since it's like this blue green, it kind of is very cold, and with the gunmetal, the silver, it's a very cold model. So adding that warmth of the dirt with the iron earth is really gonna contrast it well, I think, and break it up and give it a lot more character. Um, so on the client, like I had both las cannons and heavy bolters. I'm kind of a las cannon queen when it comes down to it. So I like las cannon. So I personally would have like I gave them the option. I can do either or, like las cannons or heavy bolters, or I can make it like kind of a magnetized option where you can swap them out as needed, but you just wanted heavy bolters. So um, heavy bolters. Now they're semi-permanent. I did end up putting magnets on here because they're so heavy that when you use just this kind of uh, I don't know, post that it comes with. This wasn't quite tight enough, so when I initially glued it on there, it kept falling down and pointing down like that. So I just I glued it solid, the post, drilled a hole in there, put a magnet, and put a magnet inside here, just so that way, you can easily do whatever you need. And then in the future, maybe if he finds another kind of sponson replacement or something, um, can model the las cannons on there separately, I suppose. So anyway, that's this I'm working on now. Then after that, I've got the what is that thing called? It's the big. I can't remember what it's called. It's the giant Tyranid, the walking one, not the gargoyle creating one, the flying one. The here Hydrophant, I think, or is that the Lord? That's the Oliphant from Lord of the Rings. I think it's the Hydrophant. So I got that coming up. So I'm excited to work on that too. I have an idea of a color scheme I like to do. I was kind of given full artistic license, if you will, on color scheme with that. So I have an idea of what I would like to do. I don't know kind of what my end result is going to be with that, but I have an idea, and I think it'll look cool if I can pull it off. So yeah, so I'm very excited on all that. And I didn't bring them in with me. A quick update for everyone that participated back, I think it was August or September, in my homebrew chapter contest. There were still a lot of people that didn't send me addresses to get the Space Marine Hero participation model, which I guess it's absolutely fine if you just wanted to pass on it and you're just participating, hoping for one of the main prizes. But there's a few, and this only affected people that sent me sent me addresses from overseas, or FPO and APO addresses. So those are usually like military members. I'm not sure about other countries, but at least U.S. military members get like a FPO or APO address for if they're stationed somewhere overseas. And apparently I did something wrong with the customs form or something. So all the packages I had sent overseas got returned, but because of my move, got returned to my old address and have only just now caught up to me here at my new address. So I have all those, and I'm actually heading to the post today to resend those out. So I hope everybody's address is still current, still the same. If not, I'm sure it'll spin around in the mail system again, and I guess potentially get returned back to me again. But hopefully this will be good. So if you haven't received something and you sent me your address, it's coming. Hopefully this time the right way. So there's no hiccups. So again, sorry for that. I mean, it's been a long delay, and it's finally, like I said, everything's finally caught up to me again. So hopefully I can get those out today, and they'll get to everybody, no issues soon. And with that, I have another idea, and actually it's something I've talked about before in my last kind of contest challenge. I'm still working on the details, but I kind of have a better idea of kind of what I want to do. So for my last, for the homebrew chapter, I had mentioned maybe doing just a converting challenge, because the homebrew one was more just customization was great if you had customized, but it was more I wanted to see what people's personal paint schemes and a small blurb kind of background story on your homebrew chapter, if you had one. For this next one, I wanted to focus more on like the converting aspect and not so much the painting aspect. So I'm definitely moving forward with that, and something kind of came to mind is I'm going to kind of call it forged in plastic. And that became, if you see my recent post on Facebook where I spliced the Fast Riders sword to my Master Lazarus model. I said sometimes I feel like I'm on Forged in Fire when I'm kit bashing or converting, especially weapons and stuff. Which, if you're not familiar, it's a show on History Channel where 4 challengers come out. They're given, there's basically 3 rounds to it. First round, they're given 3 hours to try to they're either given like a dagger or knife of some kind that they have to replicate, or they're allowed kind of free reign and they can make a knife within a certain parameter, meaning 10 inches, 8 inches long with so long of a tang or whatever, if it has to be a folding knife or whatever. They're given usually around 3 hours to complete the initial task of, creating this knife, whether it's given, and another challenge they throw in there sometimes too is they're either given metal, sometimes it's unknown metal, sometimes they have to harvest it from like a bicycle. They're like, here, find steel in this. So anyway, I wanted to do something kind of more based off of that, but like I said, forged in plastic. So the first round, they get time to get the rough shape and everything and meet the parameters of whatever the first round is. Second round is usually the finishing touches, like sharpening, putting a handle on it and stuff like that. Then so the first round, someone always goes home. Second round, they're down to 3 people. They do the handles, finishing touches with the knife, with the sharpness and all that. And as long as everyone's made those parameters, then they go into kind of like a testing thing. See how sharp it is, if its edge holds up through different tests. Now, I'm not going to be able to do like something like that with models, obviously. But then at that point, people will go home, or one more person goes home, and then there's 2. And then they're given basically 5 days to go to their home forges and create usually a replica of a historical weapon that they show, whether it's usually like a sword or a halberd or a spear or something. It's some huge build that they can't just do within 6 hours on the show. So they give them 5 days to go home, make it in their own style, but they still have certain parameters they have to meet to match kind of the historical representation of what they're given. So anyway, I want to do something like that. Like I said, they only do, and like, because I definitely enjoyed being able to support, as I did last time. I had a first, second, and third prize, and then I did the participation prize for everyone. But like Forged in Fire, they give $10,000 to the first place, and that's it. Like, nobody else gets anything else. I definitely want to encourage participation, but it kind of stretched me a bit more financially than I guess planned on my last time, since I don't have any sponsors. I don't have enough subscriptions on the YouTube channel that it's not like it's paying where I can just afford to like support my own prize supports or anything. So without any sponsors and anything like that, and just coming out of my own pocket, it was a very ambitious thing for me to go. Now, obviously the prizes weren't super lavish by any means, but you know, it is what it is. So I think this next round, like I said, I'm still working on the details, but it's going to be forged in plastic. There will be a prize, grand prize. I say grand prize. I don't know. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do with the prize portion of it yet. I have an idea, but I'm not sure how that works if someone in other countries wins. But anyway, I have an idea of what I want to do for the winner. And essentially what I'd like to do rounds, but I think what I'm going to end up doing is there's really going to be like, I guess, kind of 2 rounds, where have initial, like, okay, here it is, convert a character, any faction or whatever, something like that, and entries are due by this day. And then from there, I have like a final 3, I think. And then from the final 3, basically go into like the championship round between those 3. Give them their own challenge, just the 3 of them. And then from there, go on to see. Now, the other thing though is I don't want it to be, like, I would like to see some community involvement, but the problem with that is I just don't want people to get their friends to just vote for their own, their own particular model or whatever, their friend's model. So I've thought about, like, I don't know if there's any way I can figure out a way to get like a panel of judges or something. I've definitely thought about that, depending upon the number of entrants. So I think right now I want to get entrants, and then I'm definitely going to try to get at least one other person to help me out with the voting. And I have an idea for that. There's a few people that I would like to try to reach out to. And then, like, I'll do myself. I'll pick, my top 3. And then, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Can I say top 3? But if there's a ton of entrants, we'll have to see how to do it. Because I think, depending upon the number of entrants we get, I want to see how many, because if there's a lot, it can be really hard, because even if I get like a couple of judges, like, my top 3 could be completely different from their top 3, and vice versa. So what I might do, as I'm like thinking about this as we go, so I think ideally what I'll do is if I can get at least 2 other people, send them all the entrants, ask them what their top 3 is, like what their number 1, 2, and 3 is. Same thing for the other person, same thing for me. If we all have 3 different ones, cool. Then we're down to 9. So, I say cool, but that's hard, because my next idea, and like I said, I'm just throwing these ideas out to see what sticks. So you're kind of seeing my crazy thought process here. So if you have any ideas or thoughts while I'm blabbling on, feel free to throw them in the comments below. But my idea was like, okay, so then we'd have potentially 9 different people, and then maybe from there we've narrowed it down to 9, and then I can go back to myself and the other 2 judges and be like, okay, out of these 9 now, which are your top 3? But my fear there is, like, we're all just going to pick the same top 3 that we just picked, so that wouldn't really work. So, I don't know. I'm thinking, yeah, I'll have to see how many participants we get, and then from there, I might have to go ahead and from my own standpoint, I might make my own kind of executive decision of a top 10, I think. And then from that top 10, send out the top 10 to the other guest judges. And like I said, minimum I like to get is 2. If I can get a few more, I don't want to get too many, but I would say maybe no more than 5. But maybe send out the top 10 and have them list those 10 in numerical order. And from there, we can, I don't know what's going on with my phone, narrow it down into, I guess, the top 3, kind of based off of where everybody falls. So obviously, I think you have a top 10, so the number 1 is going to get 10 points, number 2, 9 points, and so forth and so on. Then point costed across, see who comes out on top. I think will be how I do that. And then of those, whoever comes out in 1, 2, and 3 will go into the final round. So I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. So hopefully at least 10, but even if I don't need 10, hopefully more than 3. Otherwise, those 3 will just automatically make it. So stay tuned for that. I think that is the plan right now for that. I'm going to, like I said, critique a little bit more and kind of push forward. And like I said, there's a few people I would love to get involved. I'll have to reach out to them. I'm not sure if they will or not. We'll have to see. So, yeah, what else? I'm getting close to doing, I guess, kind of the hobby space tour. As you can see, I kind of have some stuff going on behind me here. I've gotten a little bit more added, getting a little bit more organized in here in general. So at some point, I'd like to do just a quick video of my office space and kind of what I have going on. And I've been talking this whole time. Hopefully you can hear me, because I just realized. Now can you hear me better? I don't know. I had hopefully a mic on. I'm just realizing I had this other mic off, so hopefully I haven't been just talking nonstop. So what else? That's kind of it for right now. There's a few tournaments kind of coming up I really want to go to, but like I said, I've been kind of taking a break from the 40K realm. There's not a lot going on Legion-wise. I've gotten 2 squads painted of my Galactic Marines conversions from the Snow Troopers. Still got to paint 2 more squads of them. I'm waiting on my clone expansions to come in, my Phase 1 clone trooper expansions. Pretty excited about those. I'm not going to be converting anymore. I think the 4 squads of Galactic Marines I have are good for now. The rest I'm going to paint. They're still going to be like Galactic Marine colors, because I mean it's hard to find reference photos of it, but they did wear regular armor with some kind of burgundy accents, I guess, to their armor. They're not easy to find. Like I said, most of them I kind of switched over to like that Snow Trooper style. But going forward, especially with the Phase 2s coming out and these upgrade packs and stuff, it's going to be hard to kind of differentiate from my opponents. And then I don't want to make too much of a huff if I try to do an event and they're like, this is too converted, too crazy. So I think for the most part, it seems like for now, my 4 main Phase 1 clone squads as Galactic Marines are pretty much acceptable. And it seems like going forward, it's not like the Phase 2s are going to come in and completely replace the Phase 1s. You kind of still need Phase 1s as they're the cheaper option for sure, as kind of the base core units in your army. And then you use the Phase 2s as more of support core units. And then, of course, the expansions. I'm sure there'll be a Phase 2 clone expansion at some point. Excuse me. But yeah, I keep looking off the side because I've got them sitting right here. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Like I said, they're coming in the mail. I've got them. I haven't ordered it yet, but I do want to get the C-3PO R2-D2 Crash Escape Pod, just because the R2-D2 to add to the clones. Seems like a cool little support unit. Plus, he has like a cool kind of like last second victory point thing that you can kind of get if he's alive, basically, to kind of maybe steal the victory at the last moment, which I think is pretty cool. What else? I was gonna keep the droids half of my Legion set, but again, I don't want to get too overwhelmed with projects and things, and like, I love the idea of keeping them, and I might keep one squad just to paint real quick as a training squad. Plus, my son keeps asking for, he wants droids for his guys to fight, and then I may just end up selling the rest. Like I said, just got to keep the hobby funds flowing. I don't want to get too caught up financially and just time-wise with things. So, probably going to look to sell my two halves of the core set of battle droids. So, I mean, that's just what that is. The upgrade card thing is another thing, because I don't think I kept them separate. I think I kind of put them all together because there's multiples of different upgrade cards and things like that I wanted to keep. So I have like the regular cards and stuff, and their command cards. It's the upgrades that I don't really have available now. So, so yeah, that's kind of it there. Like I said, not a whole lot going on in the Legion community in this area right now. They kind of have very loose kind of setups. They don't have kind of like apparently there's like a Tuesday night at one of the game stores here that's kind of, but I guess they don't really regularly meet. They just have like a Facebook group they kind of post on. And then, like I said, there's a few 40K tournaments kind of coming up, a little bit more on the competitive scene when using the ITC rules that I've usually kind of stayed away from, because I like the narrative things more. But it'd be nice to kind of maybe dip my toe a little bit more into the competitive side and kind of see how things go. Like I said, I'm still kind of stepped out of the rules a bit with all these Psychic Awakening books and stuff coming out, so I'm not sure how I'm going to jump right into it. But I will say a lot of it has been spurred from the recent Las Vegas Open results, seeing the top two players being Space Marines, being Iron Hands and Raven Guards, both chapters that I played. Essentially, yeah, I started out Raven Guard with my homebrew chapter, and then kind of switched it up. This would go full Iron Hands, but when they came out with the homebrew thing, I would pick Iron Hands as a one of the chapter tactics. But then I just liked, and when the supplement came out, a lot of the tactical doctrines fit my playstyle a lot more. So being able to marry that up with a Raven Guard chapter tactic and using the doctrines from the Iron Hand supplement, so there's kind of a shift. It was almost like Raven Guard was my main chapter because the whole backstory being that my homebrew is actually Alpha Legion loyalists. They were, used by Crawl to use all the Primarchs. So it's almost like the Dark Angels have their dark secret. Like my homebrew kind of has their secret too. It's only known to, say, not a majority of them, but a good amount of them. They don't have like an inner circle, or I haven't come up with some version of that. But they basically know they're Alpha Legion, but they've been, and Gilliman knows as well, but he's been playing it off as if like they were like Raven Guard. So in the Thousand Sun, the Gray Shields times, he had to fight close to the Raven Guard, and that's where they started to learn a lot of their I guess, tactics that are similar to Alpha Legion, with the stealth and stuff like that. And I guess kind of behind the line sabotage and things like that, and infiltration, which was good. But then, so normally how I play, and this is where the Iron Hands thing kind of came in more, and then with the lore, because I gave them like their own Star Fortress that they took over, and then they're kind of a little bit more secluded now from the rest of the chapter, so they had to become more resilient on their own support, and their Tech Marines had to become really good at repairing their equipment, because getting new equipment from Mars isn't as easy. So that's kind of where the Iron Hands thing started to come in. But also, just when I played before as just Raven Guard, I generally would take my heavy-hitting units, my far-reaching units, and they would support the rest of my units. Like anywhere, like you have artillery shooting over, so your units can move up. But because I have Raven Guard, I was able to kind of deep strike in and do kind of other stuff. So what that did is I would have my backline, heavy hitting stuff, lobbing into the enemy, forcing them to have to move into range so they can get to me. But meanwhile, my other guys are flanking them, basically like coming in around and sneaking in instead of trudging forward. With cover fire, I was kind of sitting in the back and then dropping in the back. And so that's where it kind of goes into the Iron Hands doctrine. Really help a lot, especially with like heavy units and such, getting like additional APs and stuff like that with various doctrines. That was just very beneficial. So rules wise, they kind of shifted into the Iron Hands realm, which it's frustrating because it definitely has me, I don't want to say labeled, but I definitely know that it seems like I'm a meta chaser, even though I don't really even play in the competitive scene that often. But it seemed like I went from like one super strong chapter, and then the new supplements and stuff came out, and like, oh no, I'm in the Iron Hands, which is the new strong chapter. I still think, don't get me wrong, Iron Hands and Raven Guard are both very strong, and I guess I haven't played much with the new stuff, like the new supplements and everything, since this kind of change. But in order to use the doctrines, I have to use them as Iron Hand successors. So Iron Hands is kind of the main chapter now, and then Raven Guard is kind of my secondary. So I'm taking those still chapter tags. I'm not taking them as full-fledged Iron Hands or full-fledged Raven Guard. So still a lot of things I got to figure out and tweak with that, but I would like to see kind of like where they're at competitively. Like I said, I still got a lot of things I need to build. Like, I'm still working with there's a company, I'm not gonna put their name out there yet because I've had mixed feelings so far. Because I have a fairly large Tau army. That essentially they advertise that they do a trade-in program. Where they'll give you 50% of retail for any brand new GW product. So I contacted them, sent them my list along with the exact pricing from current pricing from Games Workshop, and I have a decent amount of it. I'd say minimum. I want to say like 250, but it's probably almost 300. New in box. So very easy to resell new in box, whether it's a popular thing or not, I don't know, but as far as a particular model or unit, one of them's out of like OOP, out of original print. You can't even find it anywhere unless you can find it on eBay for a decent amount. So I don't know. I didn't get the 50% quote back, which was a little bit unfortunate, a little bit under. But still better than a few other quotes I got from other people. So I'm trying to push forward with it because I need to get caught up to date with. I still don't have the Impulsor, the Warsuit, the Eliminators with the last Fusils, or the Incursors. So I sent the list. They sent me back a quote that, like I said, was a little bit less than 50%, which is a little upsetting. Their justification was saying some of this stuff is kind of hard to push and sell. I was like, yeah, maybe, but I know some of it also they can just throw on eBay and make a decent amount. To cover any potential risk of them holding on to something that might not sell. Anyway, and then I emailed him back. I was like, okay, sure, I'll take that offer. What's the next step? But I haven't heard anything back. I mean, it kind of outlines it on their website. Basically, then you package everything up, send it to them. Once they get it and they verify, this is kind of the thing I'm not the biggest fan of. They verify the shipping and everything is fine, but I mean, because I have to ship it to somewhere, it's still in the United States, but it's still out of state. They could get it and say anything they want. Things are broken, damaged, missing, whatever, and they come in and be like, listen, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, so that's kind of the risk I'm worried about right now. I'm going to just pack the heck out of it. If they ever get back to me, which is frustrating too. They have not gotten back to me yet. Other than like I said, it gives the detail on their webpage. You get the quote. Once you get the quote, package up, send them the models, send them an email with the tracking and the list of the things that you want. Once they get it, they verify everything. They will ship out the models that you requested. Seems simple, but like I said, I just want another verification email from them, just so I can have somewhat of a kind of a electronic footprint. So if I do run into issues or problems, I have some kind of proof or legal standing to maybe go, hey, this is what you quoted me, this is what I did, this is what I sent, for you to say you never received it, or something like that. To say I'm not a trusting person, that's pretty true. I've gotten burned too many times in the past on deals online. I'm sure many people have stories that's similar. It's just an unfortunate, frustrating world that we live in, that people would want to do stuff like that we don't have 100% honesty. But it is what it is, and I would like a little bit more peace of mind before I just send my stuff out of the blue. So, wow. With all that being said, I guess that's it for now. So stay tuned to the page, the channel, and like I said, thank you for watching. And if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. I think I'm at 380. My goal last year was to hit 500. I did not make that goal. Hope to make it this year. But like I said, it is hard because of my day job. I can't release super consistent scheduled videos. This one here, the status report, is probably my most consistent one that I'm able to release. But hopefully I can be more consistent. Like I said, but just to even say that is unfortunate. I can't really promise that. But I'm definitely looking forward to this Forged in Plastic contest. I do have, I'm waiting on a few bits to do a little tutorial conversion that I've been asked about. And I thought about just kind of walking through how I did it on the models I did it on. But I was like, well, let me just find some bits and I'll just do a video on how I did the conversion, so you can see it actually happening versus me trying to explain it through. So I think that'll be pretty cool to see. So stay tuned for that. And in general, just stay tuned to whatever else might pop up. Who knows what happens. So again, if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'd like to hit that 500. I think, like I said, I'm at 380. I'm not too far from 500. My ultimate goal is to hit the 1,000, and maybe sometime, if I can get enough viewer hours, because you have to maintain 4,000, I think it's hours or minutes, I'm not sure, viewer time a year to even monetize. But at the very least, if I can hit one of those benchmarks, then I can at least say I'm monetized, and I can link my Teespring stuff. So if anybody's interested in some cool merch that I have, I can finally do that. And maybe start bringing a little bit of revenue so I can do more projects and more things that people want to see and start upgrading things a little bit better. But like I said, it all just depends on the future and how I can turn things out. But I definitely appreciate the support either way. So again, please subscribe and check out the Facebook page. I'm doing very well over there with the likes. I wish I could get that many likes to turn into subscribers, because I'm at about 1920 right now, which is pretty good. And then I have Instagram as well, that I'm almost to 200 followers on that. So that's also been slow, but I've only recently kind of started that up. So you can also find me on Instagram. I don't Twitter. I had a Twitter for the Paint Marine, but I haven't done much with it. I definitely need to figure out, so I think there's a way you can kind of link everything, so you post one time and it posts on your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Got to figure that out. I'm not a boomer, but I'm not quite a millennial. I'm kind of an in-betweener. I'm technically what, Generation Y. So there's that. So I don't know. I'm technologically adept and inept. So I don't know. But anyway, all that babbling, and I guess until next time.